For months, Angela lived with the echoes of betrayal, her body healing from bruises that went far deeper than the skin, her mind constantly replaying the night she was ambushed, injured, and left watching from the sidelines while the very woman who tore her down, Hyan, reclaimed the spotlight and retook the championship that Angela had once snatched away from her. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. Angela's rise had been meteoric, almost mythical, from her first match in reality of wrestling, where she shocked the audience and dethroned the seemingly unstoppable Hyan to become Diamond's division champion, to the moments after that victory when she was assaulted without mercy, when Hyan made it clear that she hadn't just lost a title, she had lost her pride, and she wanted both back. That attack didn't just injure Angela physically. It ignited a fire in her, a hunger that grew stronger with every passing week. She was forced to watch the woman who broke her dominate the division again. And so, after months of silence, of training in shadows, of watching her name be erased from title contention, Angela returned, not with words, but with intent, demanding not just a match, but an ending. Booker T knew what this meant, what this rivalry represented, and so did the fans, who had watched every twist in this long story unfold. This wasn't just another title defense, another main event. This was a reckoning, and it would be sealed inside the most dangerous structure in the sport, the steel cage. For only the second time in Texas wrestling history, two women would enter this unforgiving structure, and for the very first time, the Diamond's Division Championship would be defended inside it. No interference, no disqualifications, no excuses. The rules were simple, but the consequences were enormous. As the cage lowered and the door was locked behind them, you could feel the weight of history in the air, the sense that something truly final was about to happen. The bell rang, and what followed was not just a match, but a brutal war built on a year's worth of unresolved emotion. Hyan struck first with clinical, almost vicious precision, raking Angela's face across the chain-link wall, choking her on the ropes reinforced with steel cables, and slamming her against every corner of the cage, like she wanted to erase her from memory. Angela, however, was not the same woman Hyan had injured. She absorbed the punishment with a fire in her eyes, fighting back with furious elbows, knees to the temple, and sudden bursts of speed and technique that forced Hyan onto the defensive. The crowd roared with every reversal, every counter, every time Angela got back up when most would have stayed down. Hyan began to focus on the shoulder she had injured months ago, wrenching it in painful holds, twisting Angela's body into agonizing shapes, and nearly forcing a submission in the middle of the ring. But Angela, screaming through the pain, clawed her way free, refusing to let history repeat itself. And just when it seemed the match couldn't escalate any further, both women climbed to the top rope, balancing dangerously as they exchanged brutal strikes above the ring. In a moment that stunned even the most seasoned fans, they crashed to the mat in a thunderous superplex that left the ring shaking and the referee counting both of them down. The cage, scarred with sweat and skin, stood witness to their desperation. Hyan attempted to escape through the cage door, dragging herself toward freedom and victory, but Angela, through sheer instinct, lunged and caught her leg, slamming the door shut on her hopes and dragging her back to hell. Angela rallied, hit a spine-shattering pump-handle slam, and then, with every ounce of strength left, nailed her finishing move, the beauty sleep. The crowd screamed the count 1-2, but then silence as Hyan kicked out, the first person in reality of wrestling history to ever survive that move. Shock and disbelief washed over Angela, but she didn't stop. She hit a bulldog, a diving forearm, another near fall. Still, Hyan stayed alive. At this point, both women had nothing left but instinct. They had torn each other apart physically, but it was now about heart. Hyan retaliated with a stunner that left Angela limp, followed it up with a vicious sidekick that echoed through the arena, and then slowly ascended the ropes. With the poise of a champion and the desperation of a warrior who had seen her reign threatened, Hyan launched herself into a perfect shooting star press that connected squarely across Angela's chest. The 3 count came, and just like that, the bell rang. The war was over. Hyan, battered and breathless, clutched her championship as the cage door opened. She didn't raise her hand in arrogance. She didn't need to. She had survived. And Angela, laying flat in the center of the ring, eyes open and staring up at the steel she had just battled within, wasn't broken. She wasn't defeated in spirit. She had pushed the champion beyond her limits, had taken everything, and still kept fighting. In many ways, she had proven what she came to prove, that she belonged, that her journey wasn't over, and that she wasn't just another challenger. She was the real deal. As the crowd gave them both a standing ovation, one thing was certain. This match, this war, this moment would not be forgotten. It would go down as one of the most brutal, emotional, and iconic battles in Diamond's division history. Not just for the moves, but for the story it told. Of pain, redemption, survival, and the undying will to rise again, no matter how many times you're thrown against the cage.